So today, we're going to unpack a really fascinating theory about Elon Musk's companies. The idea isn't just that they're big, but that they're all these interconnected pieces of what could literally become the single biggest business ever built. Seriously, let's dive right in.
Okay, so it all kind of kicks off with this massive prediction from investor Jason Calacanis. He says Starlink is going to be the biggest subscription product ever, bigger than Microsoft Windows, Netflix, and Spotify all put together. I mean, that is a wildly bold claim, right? But it sets the stage perfectly for what we're about to get into.
But here's the real kicker. What if that incredible prediction is actually underestimating the real scale of what's being built here? What if Starlink, as huge as it could be, is just one single piece of a much, much larger puzzle?
And that, right there, brings us to the core thesis of this whole thing. The argument is that the real goal isn't what you think it is. It's about shifting the entire metric. Forget counting individual products sold, like cars. The real game is to start counting the total number of human beings, the number of customers paying a monthly subscription for something inside this massive ecosystem.
All right, so let's break this down layer by layer. We're going to start with the foundation, the physical world. This first part of the ecosystem, it's all about moving two really fundamental things, people and data.
Okay, so to get our bearings, let's just look at where things stand today. As of right now, Tesla has sold a cumulative total of about 9.2 million cars. Now, that's every single model they've ever made over their entire history. And yeah, it's an impressive number for sure, but you got to see it as just the starting point.
Now let's put that number into some real context, because 9.2 million sounds like a lot, but those cars are on a planet with 1.5 billion cars on the road. So what does that mean? It means after 2 decades of work, Tesla's market share is still only about 0.5%. That might sound kind of small, but again, think of it as the foundation, not the skyscraper they're trying to build on top of it.
Because the very moment that full autonomous driving is solved, the entire target market just explodes. We're no longer talking about just the 1.5 billion people who own cars. Suddenly, the real market becomes pretty much every single person on the planet who ever needs to get from point A to point B.
And this is the absolutely crucial point, right? The business model fundamentally pivots. It completely shifts away from these one-time hardware sales to a recurring transportation-as-a-service model. Think about it. Your grandma going to the doctor, a student heading to class. Anyone who can't afford a car or just doesn't want one suddenly becomes a potential paying customer. Every single trip. Okay, so that's moving people. Now let's switch gears and talk about moving data. And this is where the true scale of Starlink really comes into focus. The key technology here is something called direct-to-cell. And no, this isn't about those big dishes you see on RVs. This is about your normal, everyday smartphone connecting directly to a satellite, completely bypassing the need for a cell tower. And this just illustrates the potential perfectly. So you take all the subscribers for Windows, Netflix, and Spotify, combine them, and you get about 1 billion people. Now, what if Starlink's direct-to-cell service reached just 1 out of every 5 phone users on the planet? Well, that's 1.6 billion customers. All of a sudden, that crazy prediction from Calacanis doesn't just seem possible, it starts to look almost conservative. Okay, let's move up to the next layer of this whole thing and see how it builds. Because this is where we get into what might just be the most valuable product of them all. And it's not a physical robot. It's the AI brain that's going to power every robot. And this quote is so key to understanding the vision. Musk consistently talks about 2 different kinds of robots. He says everyone will want their own C-3PO, which is the humanoid one, but also their own R2-D2, which is, a wheeled utility bot. So the vision was never just about a robot that looks like a person. It's always been broader than that. So the argument goes like this. Tesla isn't really just building a humanoid robot. What they're actually building is an AI brain, this powerful combination of vision, custom chips, and incredibly complex software. And it's a brain that can be licensed out and just dropped into any object that has a camera and a motor, instantly turning it into an intelligent device.
So what's the real business model here? It's to become the android for robotics. Think about it. Tesla doesn't have to actually build every single robot that mows a lawn or delivers a package. They just need to provide that crucial intelligence layer, the AI operating system, that all the other hardware companies can build on top of.
Okay, now for the most futuristic and maybe the most mind-bending part of this whole ecosystem. This next layer is all about completely reinventing how we interact with technology itself. We're talking brain interfaces and brand new kinds of devices that could, one day, actually replace the smartphone.
And look, Neuralink is moving out of science fiction and into reality at a frankly startling pace. There's already a patient playing video games just using his thoughts. The number of human trial participants is growing. And the next goal is to completely automate the surgical procedure itself. This is happening fast.
And yeah, it's starting out with really important medical applications for people with paralysis. But the long-term vision is so much bigger. It's a general-purpose brain interface. And that comparison to LASIK eye surgery is really powerful. Just imagine, if this ever becomes a safe, routine, elective procedure that enhances your capabilities, millions of people could choose to opt in.
And this is where you can really see how all the different pieces just snap together to build something like a post-phone AI device. You've got Tesla making the custom AI chips, you've got xAI developing the actual AI models, Starlink provides the global instant-on connectivity, and then Neuralink offers a potential revolutionary new input method. Every single necessary layer is being built in-house.
Okay, look, this is obviously a massive, almost unbelievable vision, so it is absolutely essential that we ground this whole thing in reality for a minute. Let's take a hard look at the very serious hurdles and counter-arguments.
And we're not talking about minor concerns here. The grand vision is one thing, but the sobering reality is grounded in some really tough challenges. For one, Musk has a pretty famous history of setting timelines that turn out to be, let's say, highly optimistic. On top of that, building physical hardware is just exponentially harder than shipping software. You can't just push an over-the-air update for a busted gear. And finally, unlike a pure software company, pretty much every one of these ventures faces massive regulatory hurdles, from the FAA for SpaceX to the FDA for Neuralink. These are major roadblocks, and you absolutely can't just dismiss them.
So, given that incredibly ambitious vision on one hand, and the really sobering reality on the other, how should we actually think about all this? Well, this brings us to a new kind of framework for actually measuring the progress.
So, if the number of cars sold every quarter isn't really the main point for this bigger thesis, then what is? What should you actually be watching for? What are the real leading indicators that tell us if this whole integrated ecosystem is actually happening or not?
Well, here are the new metrics to watch. Number 1, count the recurring customers, not the one-time car sales. Number 2, spot when the first non-humanoid robot powered by Tesla's AI shows up in the wild. 3, track how quickly Starlink's direct-to-cell service rolls out across the globe. And finally, watch that Neuralink patient count. Is it doubling or even tripling year after year?
So ultimately, the argument kind of concludes that the real debate here isn't about if this future is coming, but simply when it's going to get here. The core technologies are already being built, they're already in motion. The only real question left then is about the timeline. If you enjoyed this, subscribe to AI in 8 minutes and never miss what matters.